Edmonton has long been known as a center for arts and culture, a community that embraces and supports the makers, creators, and storytellers who live here. In 2005, we were one of the first municipalities in Canada to install an official poet laureate, someone who would reflect the life and happenings in our city in poetic form. And over the last 15 years, we've been privileged to have many diverse voices in this role, from Alice Major to Ahmed Nomadic Ali. And in July 2019, we appointed our 8th poet laureate, Nisha Patel, who will be joining us virtually this morning. Nisha is a brilliant young writer who's been keeping very busy in her role. And over the past year and a half, she's been performing and teaching across the country, acting as an ambassador for our city's vibrant literary arts community. In this time, she's visited dozens of classrooms and led workshops on everything from writing and performance to healing from trauma to grant writing. Although a great deal has changed this year in terms of the ways we can come together as a community, Nisha has still been very active through the pandemic. Earlier this year, she was invited to celebrate the opening of the Milner Library and work with organizations such as National Philanthropy Day, Alberta Innovates, and the Writers' Union of Canada. And lately, she's been writing about disability, grief and mourning, and politics. And one of Nisha's goals with her laureateship was to mentor emerging poets in the community. Following this goal, Nisha founded a new publishing press, Moon Jelly House, which aims to publish marginalized writers. Somehow, on top of all of these other efforts, Nisha has also found time to pen her debut book of poetry, Coconut, which speaks to her experience as a queer and racialized writer and settler on Turtle Island. This book is set to be released in April of next year, and I encourage everyone to keep an eye out for it then. This morning marks Nisha's 200th reading and performance as a poet. And so without further ado, I'll turn things over to Nisha now.
Thank you. The following poem is a living thing, as its inspirational inhabitants once were. For every preventable and tragic death due to COVID-19, I have added one word to this ongoing poem. As of 9:30 a.m. today, this poem has 615 words. On the day Lewis Hamilton becomes the first Black man to win 7 Formula One championships, Alberta breaks 1,000 new COVID cases. My mother cancels Diwali while my relatives return to work for the 270th day in a row, packing food and Christmas flyers and staffing emergency rooms in infested hospitals. The Premier takes to radio shows to blame everyone but himself, asking for me and my people to wake up, and neither my city councillor nor my mayor defend us. Women around the world share tearful congratulations about Kamala Harris's ascension to vice president of the free world, leaving out the names of trans women who will die under police brutality. Canadians as a whole are nothing like our neighbours until Regis Korchinski-Paquette and Ijaz Chaudhry are both murdered without consequence. Then the tune changes, and it's Edmonton that's nothing like Toronto. Meat Off-White puts out more patio heaters to keep afloat as boutique stores down the Ave go out of business without rent relief or aid. I've never caught COVID trying on shoes, but I'm sure the brisket is worth it. Curfew is now 10 o'clock, which means happy hour still ends at 8, and when we run to the old Max for eggs, we hold our breath so the bar crowd buying lottery tickets don't fog up our glasses. Hope has become a scarce commodity, and as usual, it is the minorities who can't vote that run out first as they pick up shifts delivering groceries, so the federal government has nothing to claw back. I've heard a rumor that casinos are booming. Elderly folks die in private care homes without a last Christmas, while Indian mothers who work 2 jobs to keep up with being good immigrants on both Sal Mubarak and New Year's Eve keep working. On campus, international students pay extra to quarantine in a country that thinks them worthless, while cashiers at brand-name grocers charge 5 cents for plastic bags that will end up in salt water. A man dies in a hospice with only his staff to eulogize him. Every week I call my father and my doctor, both of whom care about my pancreas more than my pancreas cares about me, and think about how saying I'm disabled or queer or brown are all comorbidities. My astronaut friend talks at length about Mars, and for a second I daydream before I remember that she too was told to wake up to the reality that this is her fault. Teens take up the mantle to uphold treaty and save the lives of those the city wishes didn't exist. The city wishes harder, shoves body into a convention center, and hopes the people with the votes are appeased, that no tax dollars have been wasted. In fact, the city does not raise taxes, so I lay awake and wonder which part of the Municipal Government Act, Section 7, prevents the city from spending money in a crisis in the name of the safety, health, and welfare of people. But then again, I've only spent 10 years studying politics, so what would a property-less millennial like me know about it? I think about Christmas, I think about starvation, I think about home, how being human makes me worthy of at least one of these things. And your worship, mostly I think about death, how my faith in politics died first in a refrigerator truck, then a field hospital, how I took one word for everybody in this province who died a preventable death and wrote a poem. 615 words, one for every child that grew and loved under the hands of collective negligence. How eloquent it will make me tomorrow.
Thank you, Nisha. Please keep us posted as you add words to a poem that should be finished. Shifting gears, this past year we've all endured a lot of uncertainty and changes to our day-to-day lives. It's certainly been a challenging year, but one of the positives coming out of it is that Edmontonians have shown how we come together as a community, and I think we are, in fact, stronger for it. As 2020 comes to a close, it's important we recognize some of the people who went above and beyond to support one another this year and to keep our city active and healthy. Community Park Little League, or CPLL, which operates out of the Kirkness and Castle Downs